Hello students, welcome to online classes of Geography of class 8. This is the second class of your chapter number 4, that is natural vegetation. The topics that I am going to discuss today are importance of forest, next types of forest. Now there are various types of forest. Number 1, tropical evergreen forest, temperate evergreen forest, tropical deciduous forest, temperate deciduous forest, Mediterranean forest, and lastly coniferous forest. Now hopefully the tropical areas, the temperate areas are very much clear to each and every student of class 8. I'm just revising, that is from the equatorial region, from near the equator up till 30° north and 30° south. That is the tropical zone, where the two tropics lies, between the two tropics, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Temperate zone, it is also termed as mid latitudes. Temperate zone lies from 30° to nearly 55 to 60°. That is temperate zone. And above that we term it as from near 90° it is a polar zone, and below that subpolar zone. So it is not the part now. Just keep it in your mind that the areas that we are going to discuss about under these types of the forest, it's between the two tropics, that is the tropical areas, and between 30° to 60° is the temperate zone. So let us start with the first type of the forest, that is tropical evergreen forest. Before going to that, let us go with the importance of the forest. Now we all know the forests are very much beneficial for the human society. Now what are its importance? Now hopefully if anybody asks, define the term forest, what will you say? It is actually the cluster of trees which grow very close to each other. And one more thing you have to mention, that grows naturally, because it is a vegetation. If we just grow the trees on the cultivable field, it is not a forest, it is a plantation. So forests are cluster of trees which grow close to each other naturally, are called are termed as forest. Now why forests are very important? We all know the first is we get the wood that can be used as a timber or firewood. Then it provides natural habitat for all the wild animals. Then it is there, the most important, that is, it produces oxygen, which is very much essential for all the living organisms. It protects soil from leaching and from erosion. That means from soil erosion either by the running water or by the wind erosion. If the soil is being binded up by the trees, then obviously it will prevent soil erosion by the agents of running water and the wind, so leaching and erosion. Next, it helps to store underground water. Now what is it? It helps to store underground water. Continuously we know that the roots bind up the soil. If the roots are unable to bind up the soil, what will be the resultant? The layers of the soil will be washed out. So the water cannot percolate through the layers of the soil, or cannot reach to the lower horizons. So what will be the resultant? The water will be unable to accumulate underground. But if the roots are there, then the rainfall will be over there, and if the roots are there, means it is supporting a good vegetation that will lead to transpiration, and obviously it will create a cause for the precipitation. So when all these are connected one, if it is precipitated, if it is binded up by the roots, then obviously it will enrich the groundwater. That is why it helps to store underground water. Next, it enriches the quality of the soil. Now how forest enriches the quality of the soil? Because the decaying part of the plants or the trees get mixed up with the soil, and it adds humus content to the soil. So it enriches the quality of the soil. It provides a large variety of products from trees we are getting. Now, have you ever thought the chewing gum that is very much that is what we can say, it's very much popular, it's very much every students or every children is very much fond of this product, that is chewing gum. It is basically formed from a juice of a tree named as zapota tree. So we are getting our chewing gum from that juicy part of a tree. So not only that, we are getting many medicines, we are getting oils, we are getting other that is the leaves are extracting out, or they are getting the timbers and everything from the forest. So we are getting a large variety of products from the trees. Next, it plays a major role in enhancing the quality of environment. If there is no forest, then there will be lots of problem. The temperature will increase, the rainfall will reduce, the soil will be eroded. So forest plays a major role in enhancing the quality of environment. That means it is one of the most or a sole factor for ecological balance. So these are some of the importance of forest. Now next, features of tropical evergreen forest. Now the tropical evergreen forest, these forests are basically found in the equatorial regions. I said equatorial regions means it is near about from 0 degree to 5 to 10 degree north and south. And here we are having extremely hot and wet climate. And it is also named as rainforest because basically during the daytime near the equator it is like a summer season, and just after 3 o'clock it starts pouring out over there. So extreme temperature and excessive rainfall has developed the forest, dense forest, and these are named as rainforest, or it also termed as selva. Next, the vegetation is having dense luxuriant growth. You got the reason why it is having a dense luxuriant growth. Next, trees are tall and hardwood and leaves are broad. They form a thick canopy at the top. Canopy means it is just making a carpet like structure where the branches of the tree meet with each other, and from the satellite image it just gives a appearance as if a green carpet is being spread out on the ground or above the ground. So this is a thick canopy at the top. Sunlight is unable to penetrate into the forest due to this canopy, and what is the resultant? The interiors are dark and damp. And when the interiors are dark and damp, the surface of these forests is not having any such type of undergrowth, means the grasses, very few grasses in form of mosses and lichens are there. Now, large variety of trees are found in the small areas because they are getting the two important component for the dense luxuriant growth, that is high temperature and high rainfall. So within a small patch only there is large variety of trees, and due to this large variety, due to this dense network of vegetation, the inaccessibility of human being is there, or it is not easy to reach these areas, and that is why the species cannot be identified, so their commercial utilization is very difficult. Next feature is the important trees that are found over here: ebony, mahogany, rosewood, ironwood, rubber, cinchona. Next, where these are found? These are found in Amazon basin in South America. I'll show the areas. Let me complete the topics. Then I'll show the areas where what type of forest prevails. Amazon basin in South America, Zaire basin in Africa, Southeast Asian countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines, etc. Now, the most important, why these forests are named as evergreen. Now, every vegetative cover have their own period of maturity. But here, as the temperature is continuously high and the rainfall is also high, what is the resultant? And there are multiple variety of trees, So every tree or all the species of the trees does not have that same period of maturity. So the resultant, all the trees do not shed their leaves all together in a particular season. One is shedding during the summer season, so one shed during the autumn season, one shed during some sheds during the winter season. So as a result, the year round the forest remains green. So thus wise it is termed as evergreen forest. Now let us move to the next category, that is, see the picture. You can see over here it is a dense network, and this is termed as the canopy of a evergreen forest. And here the sunlight cannot penetrate through the interiors, and that is why over there it is dark and damp, and only the mosses and the lichens are the vegetative cover that is present on the ground of these areas. Now let us go with the features of the temperate evergreen forest. Now the temperate evergreen forest, here comparatively temperature is warm or it's high, and it is also having a rainfall. But compared to equatorial regions, it is bit less. But there are certain areas where the temperature and where the rainfall is comparatively high. These forests are found in the warm temperate region along the eastern margins of the continent. All the continents where their temperate forests are found, the places are located near the eastern edges of the continent. Now next, a mixed variety of hardwood trees are found over here. The timbers yield valuable timber. Why it is valuable? Because these are hardwood and these are not so very dense like that of tropical evergreen forest. So that means the accessibility is possible, so they are valuable in terms of timber. Now the species which are found over here: oak, eucalyptus, pine, camphor, bamboo and mulberry. Now the areas, the main regions are the southeastern, just specifically I'll show the areas, southeastern part of China, Japan, USA, Brazil, Uruguay, Africa and Australia. I'll explain why these forests are located on the eastern margins of the continent when I'm going to show with the help of the map. Now next, proceeding with the tropical deciduous forest. Now what is the meaning of the word decidual? Deciduous means it is annual shedding. That means these forest types, they shed their leaves annually. It is not like that of evergreen, that throughout the year during some other period, some of the other varieties are continuously shedding out their leaves. Here annually one season is there where all the tree species shed out their leaves. That is why it is termed as deciduous. Now these are found in the monsoon Asia. The word monsoon means season. So seasonal, Asia is having lots of seasons. We are having seasonal, which is not there in different parts of the world. So monsoon Asia, Central America, parts of Brazil, East Africa, Northern Australia, and are also named as monsoon forest because monsoon means season or mausam, and here monsoon also means rainfall. So as these forests basically depends upon the moisture received from the rainy season or during the rainy season, that is why it is also termed as monsoon forest. Now the next, these forests are less dense than the rainforest. They are of medium heights, that is the trees are of medium heights, and they shed their leaves in the dry season. Now they shed their leaves during the dry season, so they are not evergreen. Only a particular season is there when they shed out their leaves. And the trees in these forests are commercially very valuable. Why? Because during the dry season, when the trees are shedding their leaves, the wood is there for making it timber or for any other purposes. Now there is a dense undergrowth of the bushes and the shrubs. Now, why the undergrowth over here is very dense? Because it is not so very dense, it does not make any canopy, so the sunlight can reach the ground, and as a result, the bushes and the shrubs cover the ground of these areas. Now, the important trees that are found in this type of forest: teak, sal, sandalwood, sesame. Next, it is mangrove forest are found in the deltaic swampy regions. Now, in our country, we are having delta. One of the largest delta of the world is Sundarban Delta, which is basically formed by the confluence of two important Himalayan rivers, that is Ganga and Brahmaputra. And over there, a very important mangrove, that is variety of tree species is found, and that is Sundari. So it is a Sundari tree or the mangrove forest comes under this category. They are grown in the deltaic and the swampy regions. Now let us proceed with the picture of the tropical deciduous. You can see the trees are widely spaced. The sunlight can reach the ground. So here the dense undergrowth is there. And that is why the timbers are valuable, because they are being able to utilize commercially. Next the next topic is related to the temperate deciduous forest. Now the temperate deciduous forest, the features are they are grown or found in the cool temperate regions on the eastern and the western margins of the continent. Either it is situated on the eastern margin of a continent or it is situated in the western margin of the continent. I'll explain again by using the map why it is so. Now just look at the regions. Northeast USA. You can see it is situated in eastern margin of USA. Here it is in the western margin of Europe. Then again comes northern China and Japan. Then North and South Korea. Then southern Chile, New Zealand. These are some of the places where we can find out temperate deciduous forest. Now some of the features. These are not very tall but have thick trunks and broad leaves. That means they are very much valuable timber. Now they shed their leaves specifically during the autumn season and remain bare throughout the winter. That means during the winter the leaves are not there, it's bare, and again when the winter gets over and the summer approaches, that is during the spring season, they start blooming out, or the tender leaves just bloom out from the from the season, that is the spring season. Now some of the important trees are maple, beech, poplar, redwood, ash, elm, etc. Just next it is Mediterranean forest. Now hopefully you are aware about this name. There is one sea in the European part between Africa and Europe, that is Mediterranean Sea. So forest type that is having that type of climatic condition is termed as Mediterranean forest. Now where are these forests found? These are found in the warm temperate region on the western margins of the continents. Now the main regions are Southern Europe, Western Asia, Northwest Africa, California, Central Chile, South Africa and Southern Australia, where basically the Mediterranean type of climate prevails. Now forests are not dense and the trees are of medium height, which are widespread. It's just similar like that of the deciduous one. They contain broad-leaved evergreen forests. The trees are evergreen. Why? Because they get continuous moisture and comparatively warmth over there. So leaves are broad and evergreen, but they are not dense like that of evergreen forests. In these regions, summers are dry and winters are humid. That means they receive winter rainfall. Now, as the summers are dry, so what is it? They have to, now winters are humid, that means they are getting the moisture during the winter. But how to keep the moisture till the dry season during the summer season when the temperature is high. So their barks are thick and they are having small waxy leaves. Now when there is small waxy leaves, that means the rate of transpiration will be less, and they are deep rooted, long roots, so that they can acquire the moisture from the lower horizons of the soil. Now the main trees that are there, it's olive, fir, cedar, cypress, cork oak, citrus fruits, fig, etc. So this is about the Mediterranean forest. Now just see the pictures related to the Mediterranean and the coniferous forest. This is the Mediterranean forest. This type of, you can see it is not so very dense, neither it is too tall, neither it is having a, but the leaves are broad, trunks are broad, and they are having evergreen in nature. And here you can see a cone like structure, a conical trees are there, and this is giving a forest type, that is coniferous forest. And you can see the picture that is behind, that means this is closer to those areas where we are getting a snow-capped mountains. Now let us proceed with the features of the coniferous forest. Now these are found in the areas between 55 to 70-degree latitudes in the northern hemisphere. It's only there in the northern hemisphere, named as taiga. Now why it is not present within these latitude range in the southern hemisphere? What is the reason behind it? Between 55 to 70-degree latitude in the southern hemisphere, if you see the world map, I'll explain it, there is no landmass, or there is very little landmass present over there. That is not sufficient for giving a birth to the type of forest, or giving a that is the scope for the vegetation growth. That is why it is only present in the northern hemisphere, named as taiga. Now the next it is, the main regions are southern Alaska, southern Canada, Scandinavian countries. Now what are these Scandinavian countries? Norway, Sweden, Finland. That is there in the northern part of Europe. Hopefully you have heard about these. And Poland. These all are there in the northern Europe. So that all three together are termed as Scandinavian countries. Norway, Sweden and Finland. Northern Russia and Siberia. All these are there in between 55 to 70-degree latitudes in the northern hemisphere. Next, the trees are evergreen, tall and straight. Now they are evergreen, tall and straight. Why tall and straight? Because there the temperature is comparatively very less, and that is why they are moving up to get the warmth, and they are needle shaped. Why? Because basically to reduce the that is the effect of the snowfall, so that the snowfall does not damages the, what we can say, the vegetative cover. That is why they are needle like leaves. Now next, these are softwood. They are not hard. These are softwood. So if it is a softwood, that means it is much more benefit there for the timber purpose or various other purposes. What are its usefulness? For making furniture, matchsticks, paper, newsprint, plywood, sports goods. Boys are very fond of cricket. So basically the coniferous forest supplies the wood for making the cricket bats. Now the important trees are pine, spruce, fir and cedars. And coniferous forests are ideal. Sorry, the spelling written over here is wrong. It will be ideal, ideal. It's a printed. It's my mistake. Sorry. The words are, it's the this word that is written over here, the meaning is different. Ideal, ideal, ideal for lumbering. That means very much suitable for lumbering. Just don't go with this word. Just in your notes do the rectification of it. It is ideal, ideal for lumbering. Next, I am showing it with the help of the world map. Now, as I said, that first tropical evergreen forest. The tropical evergreen forests are there near the equatorial regions. Now, equatorial regions means what is the where it is. Now, this is the Southeast Asian countries. You can see the Southeast Asian countries where the tropical evergreen forest prevails in this part. Next, we are having tropical evergreen forest in the Congo Basin or the Zaire Basin area of Africa. This is another tropical evergreen forest. I'm just roughly marking it out so that it will be a clear picture for you. Now, just see this part. It is the Amazon Basin. It is the Amazon Basin where we are having the tropical evergreen forest. Now, the temperate evergreen forest, where it is basically prevailing, it is prevailing in the warm temperate regions. It is prevailing in the warm temperate regions, that is the southeastern part of China, the southeastern part of China. In this part, it is there. Next, it is there in Japan too. It is there in Japan. Next, it is there in the USA region, eastern margins of USA. Then it is there in the eastern margins. Again, this is the Brazil. It is somewhere present over here. In this part. Then comes the Africa and Australia, the eastern margins. It is just closer by to it in this area where we are having a tinge of this temperate evergreen forest, and even in the eastern margins of Australia too. It's just a rough plotting. It's no need to do this plotting now. When I'm going to start with the map pointing of this chapter, at that time you just do the plotting. I'm explaining it with the help of the pointer just to give a picture in your mind. Now next I'm proceeding with the deciduous forest. Now the deciduous forest is basically there in the, you can see this is our country. The deciduous forest is there in our country, India. It is there in Bangladesh. It is there in Pakistan. It is there in Myanmar. It is there in Sri Lanka. Then it is there in these areas, Philippines, and these areas also, as well as it is there in Central America. It is present in the Central America zone. It is also there in the parts of Brazil. In some edges, it is there in the parts of Brazil, as well as it is also there in the northern Australia. It is there in the northern Australia. So in these areas, we are having tropical deciduous forest. Now next, the temperate deciduous forest we are having. This is Scandinavian countries. It is Norway, Sweden, Finland. It is there in these areas. It's there in northern China. It's there in northern China in these areas. Then it's there in part of New Zealand. It is there in the New Zealand also. It is there in central Chile also. In this part it is there. In this way we are having even in the it is there in this edge of Korea also. Now next we will move to the Mediterranean forest. Now the Mediterranean forests are basically there in the western margins of the continents. Now as I said that deciduous forest, I'm just explaining, deciduous forest is there in these areas. Now next let me show the Mediterranean Sea. This is the Mediterranean Sea. This is the Mediterranean Sea. This is Mediterranean Sea. Just see the location. Now what is it? That means the forest type that will prevail over here, that will prevail in this part, that will prevail in this part, even that will prevail in the South Africa. It is there, it is having a Mediterranean climate. It prevails in South Africa too. It prevails in the southern Australia also. It prevails in the southern Australia also. It's just a rough plotting of it. So these are the places where the Mediterranean forest prevails. Now next, lastly, is the Coniferous forest, which is there between 50 to 70-degree latitudes, termed as taiga. It is there in the part of Canada, Alaska, this entire zone, southern Canada, Alaska, this area. Then it is there in the areas of, again, in the northern fringes of the Scandinavian countries, where extremely it is that is having a low temperature. This entire Siberia and Russia, which is there having a edge of, this entire part is having this taiga type of forest. And let me just show that 50 to 70-degree, you can see the pointer is moving out. You can see the pointer is moving out. This part we don't have any sort of landmass. So what does this indicate? That there is no landmass present over here. That is why coniferous forest is only there in the northern hemisphere. It is not there in the southern hemisphere. So hopefully the entire topic that I have discussed today is clear to each and every student. And if you are having any doubts, just mention it in the comment section. I'm not giving any sort of questions for today's worksheet, for the today's class. The next class will follow with the worksheet related to the topics that I have discussed till now. Thank you for following the class.